Mr. Ahmed Lazzem is, has he joined? Ahmed Lazzem? I can't see him because. Actually, it is the right time. So let's wait for the last participant.
I think Atul, you can start.
Hi, okay.
I think Ahmed will join. Will be joining. So I think you can start.
Okay. All right. Just give me a minute.
Masud bhai, session is recording, right?
Already joined. Ahmed already joined. Yes.
Hello, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So
hi, how are you?
Hi. Fine, thank you. Sorry, just need to move a little bit the computer to be in front of the.
yes, I think you can start now because our lots of audience are waiting since morning. Actually, it's a
Yeah.
it's a whole day session. So yes, please start your session. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank Masood Bhai and DCiCON team for organizing this amazing event called as DCtSUMMIT. And that gives us an immense pleasure, especially all the veterans which are there with me on the panel from the industry, to come and discuss the points which are probably a pain point for many of our listeners today, and we can try to solve and answer those points which are either they are trying to find an answer to or something. So on behalf of the DCtSUMMIT, I would like to welcome all the panelists, everyone who has joined us online for this event. And I know that it has been a long day since Bangladesh, 10 o'clock in the morning, and which I see is currently 7:30 in the evening. So that's longer than the usual working day, I would say. Yeah. So
you guys work hard.
It's still early because it is only 2:30 p.m.
I know. So you didn't have a long day, Ahmed. So lucky you. All right. So I would like to thank all the friends and fellow colleagues from the data center industry over here. First of all, I'll start with my introduction. My name is Atul Kulkarni. I'm the Director of Business Development at Uptime Institute. As many of you would have either be aware of already, or we had a very interesting session today morning from my colleague, Mr. N.K. Singh. Uptime Institute is a global leader in the data center space. And we are in that space working very closely with the customer, designers, and the people who build the data center for almost 2.5 decades. That is a long time. Primarily what we do is we provide an unbiased, technology neutral, senior level expertise, advisory and certification services on a global level. Most of the people who are associated with the data center industry know us for the tier certification of the data center, because it is the only global standard which is specifically developed only for data centers, as well as it is the only standard which is an outcome-based certification and not a checklist-based compliance kind of a document. Apart from the certification and rest of the things, we do a lot of independent research to help the data center owners to build the required level of knowledge, competency, awareness about how they need to handle the things, how they can overcome the problems. And we do a lot of research around that. So I think that is a brief introduction about me and my organization, Uptime Institute. Now coming to today's topic, gentlemen, I mean, we are all here. We know that we are working in an era which is driven by IT, And I think IT will be an understatement, because I think I'll say we are not only information age, we are data age. Everything, all that is evolving so fast. And if you all recollect, not very long time ago, maybe say 15 or 20 years, IT department, which used to be looked at as a cost center. People used to be worried, I mean, why are we putting so much money on the IT, and how is it going to really pay us back? Okay, it was looked at as a support function, which would, kind of eases a few things out, right? And eventually the IT evolved, came in a lot of systems, customer relationship management, something in the ERPs, everything that came, and slowly the IT became a business enabler. And in today's time, when the things are, everything is moving to, on the virtual platforms, like, let it be banking industry, or anything for that matter, education, in the COVID scenario. Every business has their CIO and CTOs who are primarily working with the chief executive officers, COOs, to drive the business. And from a cost center and from support function, the IT has taken a front seat alongside a COO or a CFO to actually drive the business for the organization, to drive the customer organization's growth strategies, and probably reach out in those areas where company would have not earlier thought of reaching. So, while the IT is taking a very lead role, the data is also getting increasingly generated. Okay, you, me, I, and everyone on the call today, we are all consuming a lot of data, personal data, business data, and we are also at the same time creating a lot of data, right? I mean, every time we click a link, there's a data being generated. Probably a lot of us would have probably seen the social networking and all those related documentaries. So this data flow is very continuous, and it is very increasingly being utilized to analyze customer behavior, business requirements, and all of that. So the flow of the data needs to be very strong and continuous, for system working. And where does this actually data get stored, processed, and filtered, and the actual data warehousing happens is the data center. Now, the people from the industry have actually seen the data center in action, but for most of the people, it is a building which is hid away inside some, heavily guarded compound, with fencing and all of that. And even from the looks, it looks very deceptive. It may look like an industrial building, which, nothing fancy about it. However, when it, actually, what it actually carries is the highest level of engineering, state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art architecture, and nonetheless, the most amount of expertise which is required for designing this architecture, construction of this architecture, and the operations, so that the operations are run smoothly. So today's topic is actually about maintaining a data center, a resiliency of the data center infrastructure in the digital age. To discuss this topic, we have 6 panelists who have a huge experience and expertise in the field of data center. It is my privilege to introduce all these participants, panelists, to everyone. To start with, we have Mohammed Kamal Hossain, who's the managing director at Dhakacolo Limited. Dhakacolo Limited data center is managed and operated by a highly qualified management team and houses excellent engineering skills, uncompromising quality control, all under one roof. Dhakacolo Limited is a sister concern of Earth Telecommunication Private Limited and Race Online Limited. Race Online Limited is one of the fastest growing internet service provider in the country. Mr. Kamal Hossain, I request you to briefly tell the audience in say around 2 or 3 minutes about your organization and what you do in the market. What do you?
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. So Dhakacolo, I'm M.B. Kamal Hossain. I'm managing director of Dhakacolo Limited. Actually, Dhakacolo Limited, Atul already explained about it, about our footprint, about Dhakacolo. So, Dhakacolo is a neutral data center, and we are telling it Tier 3 designed data center. Okay, and we have two locations. One in Dhaka, downtown of Dhaka, in Mohakali, and another is Joshua. We chose Joshua for mostly demanding dear site of Bangladeshi telecom and financial and others organization, because Dhaka and Joshua is different seismic zone. Okay, so for resiliency and other things, so that should be maintained. But we think about the earthquake and other disaster. Okay. So basically, we built Dhakacolo in 3 years back, started, and we started at Dhaka first, and upon request on our existing customer and new customer upcoming, we started our new data center in Dhaka. So we build at Tier 3, and we carrier neutral data center. So we are serving lots of telecommunication customer, enterprise, financial customer, and we are still now we are maintaining 100% uptime still now.
Okay, that's great, Kamal. Thanks a lot for that brief introduction. The next panelist I have is Mr. Garies Chong. Mr. Garies Chong is the CEO at EMS Wiring Systems Pte. Limited. The brief about EMS is that EMS Wiring Systems has over 30 years of experience, and they are a market leader in providing telecommunication solutions. They consult, design, build, and implement cutting-edge telecommunication solutions for their customers. They specialize in providing data center infrastructure solutions, a one-stop service provider for the customer's needs. With their technology partners, they take up the role as a system integrator, putting together a full solution for your business needs. EMS have businesses operations in Asia region. Garies, apart from being the CEO of EMS Wiring Systems Pte. Limited, also holds the position in BICSI, like BICSI is like Building Industries Consulting Services International, as Southeast Asia District Chair. Garies, I request you to briefly tell the audience about your organization, please.
Yeah, good day to everyone, wherever you are zooming in. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Masood, the organization chairman, for inviting me to be part of the team to give my point of view. But regarding my company has been market for more than 30 years, and in fact, this year is EMS 30 years anniversary. We're going to have a big celebration soon.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we provide, we are integrated ICT data center solution provider. Okay, so we provide for intelligent building systems such as IT and network infrastructure. It has been our core business, and we also provide wireless IoT smart monitoring services for building and data center service. Now the world is digitally transformed, and today EMS is also transforming into a service-based platform to work cloud and edge computing businesses in this new era. So we are trying to transform to the next level. Hopefully, next time we're back, we will talk something more than resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Garies. Thanks a lot. Let me move on to the next panelist, Mr. Chris Lee. Chris represents the company called as CENTIEL. It is a Swiss-based technology innovation company with a highly experienced team of designers. They are leaders in the UPS system, and they cover a large range of products from single-phase to three-phase UPS system. They definitely specialize in modular UPS system architecture. About Chris, he has over 30 years of experience in the UPS as well as data center industry, and he is responsible for Asia Pacific region, where he takes up the role of executive director for CENTIEL Asia Pacific. Chris, over to you for your introduction. You are on mute.
Okay, better. Good evening, every one of you. My name is Cliff Lee. I'm from CENTIEL Asia Pacific. We are a Swiss-based manufacturer with the latest technology and fault-tolerant capability of modular UPS system. CENTIEL has been coming back from a long history of more than 30 years of experience with the designer, Mr. Filippo, behind the company, where he designed the first generation to the third generation UPS in New Wave company. Eventually was being bought over by ABB, and subsequently he has improved further on the UPS system to offer the fault tolerant capabilities. So my role here is to provide the service and support and sales support with regards not just the UPS system, but also to involve in the design of the UPS system. So for this topic about resilient, about a data center, I believe Uptime has done a fantastic job. So I want to further enhance in terms of the UPS role play within the UPS, within the data center industry. So I hope that I could contribute some information based on those experience that I have in this panelists for this DCiCON summit.
Thank you, Cliff.
Yep.
Next, I have Mr. Ahmed Lazzem. Ahmed Lazzem holds the export area manager post in the Ortea S.P.A. Ortea S.P.A. is a company which is founded in 1969. And they are a leading engineering manufacturing company, and their primarily portfolio consists of voltage stabilizers, magnetic components, electric equipment, and power quality improvement products. Ahmed, I request you to brief the audience about your organization, please.
So, welcome to everybody. Wish you enjoyed this a little bit long day for you. For me, it's a little bit not yet long because I'm at early afternoon. So, as you said, Ortea is quite 51 years existing in the market of magnetic parts, so transformers, auto transformers, isolation transformers, etc., and voltage stabilizers, power factor correction systems, and active filters. So this is a little bit a wide range of products, but we are in support mostly to UPS producers, because we have a very high level of collaboration with most of the biggest UPS producers actually active in the world. And we do supply them different solutions, either personalized or standard solutions. So we also have very good connection with all data centers installations to supply our transformers, our voltage stabilizer, and active filters to let's say to help in getting the best possible electrical feeding to these sensitive devices. Now all the world is moving toward all what is digital, so all the investments are based on all networks of digital things. So they need a lot of hard work behind. to guarantee the best service, like we are doing now an international meeting between Italy, Bangladesh, Singapore, and other countries involved, being safe at home. So let's say, unfortunately, we will not be able to see each other directly this year, but I hope next year we will do, and will support you with all information. If I can answer any specific question, I'm here to support you. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Ahmed. I'm sorry.
Welcome.
Okay, so next we have Mr. Angelo Barboza. Angelo represents the company called as Rittal. Most of us would already know about Rittal. It is a global leader in industrial enclosures, IT racks, solutions for high density applications, data center cooling, intelligent PDU are one of the few that I can name here. Being a German brand, they are very well known for their rugged product line. Angelo is the general manager for the IT Competence Center and projects at Rittal, India. Angelo, I request you to briefly tell the audience about your organization, please.
Yeah, thank you, Atul. Thanks for the nice introduction of my company and me. First of all, I would like to thank all my colleagues on the panel and Masood for giving me this opportunity. And, let me, as Atul has also mentioned, already mentioned a little bit of my company, Rittal. So Rittal is a German brand. So I would, we have around 11,000 plus employees all over the world. We are represented in more than 80 countries around the world, and we have productions in China, India, in America, North and South America, and Germany and Europe is one of our main base, including UK. As you said, that we are a global leader in enclosure manufacturing. We use one of the greatest technologies. Apart from that, data centers as a IT field has been, Rittal has been focused for more than 20 years now, starting with racks, initial days, and now, we are into a very high-end data centers where we talk about high density, advanced cooling with very high efficiencies, power distribution, which is also a very important field for us. As per my role as our team from India, it's a pleasure for me to inform you that we are also called as a Asia Pacific Competence Center. That means we are responsible for designing solutions for our daughter or subsidiaries in Asia, which means that we are also, and thanks to Uptime, we are most of our colleagues are also having been certified for ATD and also different kinds of the data center regulation. So I would like to take this opportunity to hear from all the panelists and you, Atul, specifically for the questions we need to discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angelo. So coming to the last panelist, Mr. Tobio Sim. Hi, Tobio. Sorry for you coming last. Somebody has to be last. So, okay. So, Tobio represents the company called as Nexans Cabling. Nexans is a global organization and it has a headquarters in Paris. The group has a huge range of solutions in the domain of buildings, high voltage, renewable energy, data and telecom. Tobio is the regional technical manager at Nexans Cabling Solutions. So, Tobio, I request you to briefly tell the audience about your organization and the profile that you manage.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Masood, for inviting me over. So I'm from Nexans, like as introduced by Atul. Nexans is a huge cable company, manufacturing company. So we have presence over the world. We are French, and today, right, the data center convention, right? So our specialty today we're going to talk about is about data cabling. So it is very important how digital evolution, 40G, 100G, up to 400G coming up the roadmap. So cable is part of a very important infrastructure. It will help to balance the ROI for the data center, like what kind of solution we should use to deliver the system and efficiently, and also to oversee a few migration stage. this will help the end user to save costs as well. So basically, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tobio. Thank you. It's really is a quick and very clear introduction. Thanks. So let's start with since we have done the introduction of all the panelists, I would like to start with the questions that I have framed for each one of the panelists. So to start with, I will start with Mr. Kamal Hossain. Mr. Kamal, the data center resiliency, when we talk about it, is a mix of design and the operations. Operations being also one of the very critical part. So my question to you is that how do you manage the operation side of the data center to sustain the resiliency that you have already built in the design?
Thank you, Atul. As operation, for daily operation, we have to maintain some operation manual and have to maintain some guidelines. Okay, because you know, in data center, lots of things is there. There is a power. There is in power there are lots of there are involving in commercial power, and the commercial power sometimes it fails, and there need to maintain the UPS, uninterrupted power supply, and for short time, and if for some commercial grid fails, then need to maintain the standby generator. So lots of things are there, and as well as there are in data center there are firefighting, cooling, lots of things are involving. We all know about it. So in our case, we follow some operational manual guidelines. As per guidelines, we maintain 24/7 monitoring monitoring facility, and we also audit facility regularly, like fire drill, the firefighting is working in phase, or is it is not working, and then set everything in a operational guideline. Okay.
Okay. So thanks, Mr. Kamal. So as you rightly said, eventually for any data center to be operated properly, a few things are very important. Like, you know, you have to have a right level of staffing. The staff has to be well qualified, and you know there has to be a proper organization. As you rightly said, when you do a power firefighting drill, it comes as an emergency operating procedure, or you know standard operating procedures or MOPs, which needs to be, as you rightly said, one, known to all the people who are in the system, as well as they need to be practiced on a time and again, so that it becomes your second nature in case of anything going south, and you are able to manage that situation.
Let's okay, please.
Yeah.
You finished?
Yeah, you can please.
Okay. So let's in data center, different types of expertise staffing is required, like firefighting, let's say power people, like EPS, genset, and cooling people. So let's for firefighting. So for firefighting, we schedule earlier. Let's say every 3 months, fire drill is planned, and basically fire drill is completed by the firefighting people. So we have contract with this type of companies who are professionally doing this job. Okay. So we schedule it, and we notify all our customers. So there will be a fire drill on the specified date, and the fire drill company They are mostly they are firefighting specialized company. So they did the fire drill, and they drill each and every fire firefighting
Okay.
devices like smoke detector,
FM, Novak, everything for that matter. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks, Kamal. I'll take up the next question directly to Garies. Garies, what is your thought about resiliency of the IT and network side? Because usually we as an uptime, we definitely give a very detailed eye towards the physical infrastructure side. But from the IT and network side, how is that this resiliency can be built? Like, because from the facility side, people are looking at tier 3 or tier 4 standards, and building the data center and getting them certified from Uptime Institute like expert. But as a system integrator, when you are working, helping them guide towards the right level of resiliency and bringing that expertise in the design and everything, how do you actually do that? How do we
Okay.
actually ensure that? Yeah.
Okay, for DC resident, I think resident is a very huge concern to all data center manager, whether they oversee their own cloud, their own data center, or they're using cloud or co-location facility, privately or publicly. Most of our knowledge we learned from the past in data center is really related to the hardware. Okay, hardware redundancy for reducing downtime. But most of these duplicated equipment, I feel that they were never utilized. I mean, they are duplicated and they took out space, additional power load, and energy, but offer no return on investment in this case. Okay, I think we should all rethink about something of the latest trend in the industry, of any green solution that meet the net zero energy data center in the next 5 or 10 years. Example, you can look into a liquid cooling instead of the air cooling for this hyperscale server cooling system in the data center.
Mm-hmm.
So in this new trend of technology, our mindset and human creativities I think needed to move fast, accurate, and efficient. For resiliency, some data center operator can select software redundancy that we are looking instead of hardware to achieve resilience. How we do it through a virtual machine, okay, for the network server and storage. So in the data center, the fault tolerance can be built right into the software, okay, and improve the resiliency through load balancing, okay, and also virtualization and other techniques. And in other words, we are moving workload around to handle the failover situation effectively. This is how we using the software to manage it.
So, Garies, I have an extended question for that. So, when you say this redundancy can be built in a software, are we necessarily talking about improving of reliability and resiliency, despite and we're not really spending a very huge amount on the hardware side of it?
We can use the software to manage it, to manage the redundancy. I mean, in other way, I mean, normally we use hardware redundancy like tier 3, tier 4 to support all these reason, right? So for this, there is a solution like AI that come in market that able to manage all these network issue, network problem, make sure that they will send notification if there be any issue. The AI will send notification to the dashboard showing that okay, there are some issues on. So this is how we can tackle the resilience to prevent any breakdown of the IT version.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting input I got regarding the software redundancy. Thanks for that, Garies. I'm coming back to Kamal. Kamal, during your discussion, you said that the power grid, and we also always say that power grid is considered to be a resource, which is beyond our control as a DC owner, right? I mean, when we operate, now the power can go off for any odd reason from the grid side. So when it comes to on-site generation of the power, or making sure that by the times your generators come online, the UPSs are in a position to take care of that, which is a transitory phase though. In terms of the DG management, because you need to have a long-term running capacity, what is the way that you have handled that particular issue?
So in our case, we maintain 2 standby generator. Okay, 2 standby generator, and we shed. So let's say every 6 hours or 12 hours we alternate the DC. Okay, so every DC runs on 10 or 12 hours, and we stop the one and start another one.
And these are all continuous rated prime DGs, right?
Yeah, this is the continuous.
Yeah. Okay.
But we maintain 2 because for Bangladesh, power is very frequently it's
blackout kind of situation. Yeah.
Blackout. For that, if you think because DG they have also need the maintenance window, right? That's a will change, overhauling, lots of things is coming. So if during the maintenance window, if for the single generator, and that time if the grid fails or the commercial power fail, what will be, how will we run our data center? Because the UPS can run only IT load, but not the cooling. And for the you cannot run 5 minutes without the AC, cooling AC in a data center, because it's too much power generated by the servers and devices in data centers. So 5 minutes temperature will be raised
beyond the ASHRAE window. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Effect.
Okay. Fine. Thanks. Thanks, Kamal. Next, let me come to Cliff. Cliff, we have seen, we do an annual data center downtime survey and everything of that sort. In the surveys that we have done, we have seen various power continuity related issues in the data center. I mean, even today for this 2020 downtime, almost 35% of disruptions are caused due to power related issues. And UPS failure has also been one of the reasons which comes up quite often. Okay, so how do you as an UPS OEM are addressing this challenge and supporting your clients? Mute, you're mute. Yeah.
Okay, I think this is a very good question. I mean, personally, given the experience in the industry for more than 35 years, evolving in data center from after I finished my army, I get into the workforce, and that was evolved in a data center. In those days, we are talking about mainframes. Yeah, and over time, it has evolved. Like what you mentioned, data is becoming more and more critical. Right? Today, in any business that anybody operates, to keep the economy going, we all make use of hardware, IT, to continue to serve the whole entire industry. So, resilient on the data center to me is the utmost important, and that's the reason why uptime is involved as well. By planning, with all the various different tier on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is actually a safeguard on the beginning of the design to make sure that the data center is resilient. It is able to fail, and in terms of the facility, like for example, you can shut down one feed for maintenance while keeping the other feed running to serve all the IT operation 24 hours without a single downtime. And in those days, you know, my personal experience, my expectation is building a data center without downtime for minimum 10 years. No downtime for minimum 10. This is minimum. That's my personal expectation. And I think even that there are a lot of issues within the data center. The most critical, I mentioned, is power and cooling. Gary has mentioned, without power, your system will have a problem. Without cooling, again, your system will be heated up and shut down, and that causes downtime. And you also mentioned that, you know, there are a lot of UPS system fail. There is also one element, it is known as human error. Yeah. There's a lot of what they call human error that may cause certain downtime due to mismanagement or accident that can happen. So with regards to this word resilient, right? The new term actually we are talking about the availability of a data center, right? Versus reliability of a data center. Now, reliability, it can only be, the information can be collected over a long period of time, all right? I will just focus on the power aspect of it in terms of the electrical design. Even having a fantastic UPS or very reliable, very high available UPS system, the electrical design, right, to enable to make it more resilient to failure. And that's why we look at the bottom line. It could, because the UPS probably is the last major equipment before it leads or providing the power to all the hardware. So as far as the UPS is concerned, in those days, 30 years ago, we are talking about a UPS is basically a power electronic equipment that that incorporate the battery system. So in the event of a power failure, the battery takes over and continue to provide power to all the hardware. But in today's environment, it is more than just providing power to the hardware itself, because in those days experience, we've seen that if a UPS system fails, right, the engineers go down to the site, put the system on bypass, and when that happens, you are subjected to all the various power disturbances that may filter through and go straight to the load and cause hardware to fail. And to fix a UPS system, you will find that in those days, my engineer take more than 6 hours, 8 hours just to fix the UPS system, because parts has to be brought on site. The engineer has to change the component, and again, after replacing, you need to do testing. And when you do testing, there could be a human error where one a screw is not being properly tightened, and resulted there's a trip, and this become worse. Not just the UPS, the system go on bypass where your system is still running, but a human being may cause a tripping to the incoming, and subsequently it shuts down the whole entire data center. Just one shutdown of the data center, it probably costs more than hundreds of UPS system, and with the SLA signed with the customer to guarantee the kind of uptime, that data center operator may not be able to survive given the kind of penalty that is incurred. And that's why the word resilient is very, very important. So when we talk about UPS system, we are focusing on availability rather than reliability, because in our opinion, reliability, it has to go through a series of proven track record over a long period of time to determine how reliable. And you imagine one UPS system, there are hundreds and thousands of components, right? You cannot ensure that all these components, when they put together, it is able to provide the kind of reliability that runs continuously. However, the availability we are talking about is, if you know the formula, the high availability refers to mean time between failure plus mean time to repair divided by mean time between failure. So if the repair time can be shortened to the minimum, then you will achieve the highest availability. Availability meaning to say that the system can fail, but your load will continue to run. And if you are able to reduce the mean time between failure to the shortest possible time, then you achieve the highest availability for a data center. So that's where the technology of modular UPS come into the picture, where you can swap the UPS system within less than 5 minutes while the system is still live. It is a hot swappable solution. So we felt that as a UPS manufacturer, we may not be able to address the whole entire infrastructure in terms of providing the resiliency of the operation. But within the UPS system, it is able to achieve the fault tolerance. It is able to achieve the highest availability that can be provided with up to 99. That means 99.99999 with less than a few seconds within a year, in terms of that kind of availability. And this is only possible with the technology that encompasses to make the UPS system fault tolerant. And that's where the technology of CENTIEL to roll out a series of product with a track record and to serve the industry to ensure that within the UPS area, right, it is able to achieve the highest availability to ensure that the uptime is always there. So this is my personal opinion in terms of as far as the UPS is concerned.
Yeah. So Cliff, you have answered it exactly on those lines which I had a doubt on. Thanks for that. I'll direct my next question to Ahmed. Ahmed, you're back. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Mute. Sorry, I'm in mute, but I have never lost you. I have been always here. Just change it a little bit the background.
Is it? Yeah. That looks like your some large panels under assembly. I mean.
Yeah, this is one of our biggest stabilizers we produced in the past. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So, Ahmed, my question to you is that today DCs are being built not only in the metros. I mean, there was a time where the DCs were primarily being built in those metros where you will have an international cable landing station coming in, or where you have the largest of the commercial head offices being located. But we see that the co-locations or the data centers, because they require a huge amount of space, and even governments are offering subsidies, etc., for various reasons for that matter, are moving from the metro cities to say tier 2, tier 3 type of cities. Okay, and not necessarily that the power quality there is as great as what may be there in a metro city. And without a good power quality, though we have a UPS on the IT side, the mechanical loads, as we mostly see, are fed directly through the grid power or the DG power.
Especially AC is fed directly.
Yeah. So, but these are the products that which become a point of concern in case of an unstabilized or power which is either going out of the frequency, going out of the voltage window of the equipments which is there. So, how this particular kind of a problem can be addressed in case of a bad power quality from the incoming?
Well, according to voltage, we can solve the situation with different tools. Depends on the exact problem we may have on the main grid. That can be due to fluctuation or to some troubles coming on the neutral. So if in case you have troubles on the neutral, the solution is a little bit easier because we do put an isolation transformer that will generate a new neutral and deliver a steady fixed neutral to the whole load. And in case of fluctuation of the main, especially for the mechanical parts, as you said, even if it is also suggested or let's say recommended to feed the UPS by a stabilizer, because this will enlarge the range of the variation because and make the UPS continuously run without feeling any troubles coming from the main. So they will the UPS will at the end do its own real job, which is the uninterruptible supply, and do not care about the variation. So the variation will be taken on the voltage stabilizer. So we have different types of voltage stabilizer from 0.3 kVA to 6,000 kVA. We have different possibility of ranges according to the variation that can occur on the main lines. So it can be balanced plus minus 15, 20, 25, or till plus 15 minus 45, or even on request according to the situation of the customer. We can do more than this, even if honestly, we do not suggest to go over minus 45, because already at minus 45, we are at double current at income side. So this means that you will need to have an investment on the cable sizing, which is a little bit very big to guarantee the possibility to work with such currents. Depends on the amperage involved. And this is a very important point to take in consideration. There is another important point that we talked about a little bit, which is the possibility to make the UPS work on a window larger than its own variation opportunity. And that's, I just give an example. If you have a UPS, which is now most of the UPS are able to work at plus minus 15%, but your main line will be going to plus minus 20%. So if you put the stabilizer on the background on the upstream of the UPS, the stabilizer will absorb all these variations. But even if your line go over than the limit, what means that if you have a stabilizer at minus 20 and your line goes to minus 25, the stabilizer will continue to work, will not stop, because it's not so sensitive to the variation at the end, because even if there will be an alarm and the unit will be going over its limit, the output will always be there. So considering at minus 25, you will have minus 5% at output side, which can be held by the UPS itself. So even out of the nominal range that you have fixed on, you can still work without interruption and without also stressing the UPS, and without switching on batteries so often that you can increase the lifetime of the batteries, reduce the maintenance of on batteries, and having the possibility to profit of the main much more continuously than switching on generators or going on batteries.
So Ahmed, I got the point. One straight question, because I think most of the clients today are still going for UPS as a primary backup solution for the IT side. For the mechanical loads like PACs, in-row coolings, I'm not saying chillers, but let's consider if it is a chiller. Will stabilizer be able to manage all this kind of motor loads which are there, which are typically not possible for a UPS, right? Yes.
Yeah, definitely. The stabilizer do not suffer any kind of load and do not have any trouble with switching on and off loads. Unless it is all in the range of the power that was designed for, and there is really no problem on the stabilizer to handle all these types of loads independently. If they all together they are partially working or they are working on and off continuously, there is no problem. In addition, the stabilizer itself do not introduce any extra overload or harmonics or disturbance to the main line. So the stabilizer is very robust, can support such kind of loads. We don't have any problem because we have a lot of stabilizers installed in many industrial applications, not only in data centers, handling big power with big motors or big chillers or any kind of other
mechanical
type
loads.
of load, linear, non-linear. There is no problem. The stabilizer and the isolation transformer do not suffer these problems.
All right. Thanks, Ahmed. Thanks for that
Welcome.
clarification. I head to Angelo. Angelo, we are seeing an increase in the data center average kilowatt loading. So earlier, we used to have around, so based on our surveys that we have been conducting over years together, the data center load has gone from somewhere around 3.5 kilowatt average to around 8.4, 8.5 kilowatt average kilowatt per rack. And some applications which are also gaining a lot of momentum in the market is around HPCs, okay, which have a much higher rack density, or even the commercial data centers are deploying a lot of chassis and high capacity network switches and everything. So what should be the cooling approach towards such site in terms of a solution and manage the resiliency of the data center there?
Yeah, thanks. Very good question. And I think today's world, when we are living into and going to all digital work, the data centers are getting, really loaded. And the question is right, what you said, that, density is increasing. But why it is increasing? First of all, if you see the data center the servers are getting smaller. They are getting very small, but they are giving more, consuming more power, because the workloads they are doing are much more higher. So it is a very condensed environment for the server, like you mentioned for blade chassis. You have around 16 to 32 or 64 servers in a chassis, which are small but produce a lot of heat. So to accommodate this, there are two parts which are very important. One is the density in terms of space. So, the commercial space is getting expensive in areas where the offices are built. The real estate space is also very expensive. The customers cannot just use 2 kilowatt per rack and, have 100 racks. So they definitely like to have a smaller data center, which is more powerful and has a very small footprint. But the challenge comes is how to manage the power and the cooling. So power, we have been able from ages to handle power. So it has been easy, like we have bus duct system inside the data centers, and we have high density PDUs and all those things. But cooling, as you said, is a big challenge, because cooling is not only cooling in terms of temperature, but it has an airflow. It's an airflow which has to go with some pressure inside the servers, and the heat has to be extracted, and that's how the exchange happens. So as Rittal, we introduced technologies like cold air containment. I mean, we work with the technology like cold air containment for medium density or small loads, and then we go into when we go into high density loads, it becomes very important that the cooling is done from very near to the server, so the air is made available to the servers. So the efficiency of the server is good, and the failure rate also, because of hotspots, will not happen within the server. So we use high density cooling. As the high density cooling is basically designed to have a lot of fan, which are also redundant and blow the air as per the requirement of the servers. So with that, giving an example, for example, a 6 racks data center of 5 kilowatt each can be converted into 1 or 2 racks. That's how we plan it. And very important is that when you have a data center, you need to have a modular system, so that if tomorrow a data center is not designed just for today or tomorrow or 1 year down the line, it is planned a life cycle of maybe a year or 5 years. So minimum, 5 to 6 years is the lifetime for the IT equipment as well as the infrastructure for it. So that becomes very critical point in designing, that we do a good level of investigation with the customer. What is his requirement? What are the types of loads he's going to have, and whether it's going to be distributed into different racks, or it's going to have some high density rack in one area. He's going to have medium density racks in another area and a low density rack in any area, because there are network loads, there are server loads, and different kind of simulated environments. So we also think that it is wise, like what Uptime also trains us, because I went through the training and it was very, very good. And they gave us different kinds of puzzles when we were learning, when we were doing the exams, to find out different ways how to make sure that the resiliency is built. So one is N+1 solution and redundancy at the components level. So what are the components which could fail and which are not going to fail? So the components which are like, the fans which always rotate, it could be on EC based fans or normal fans. These are where we put a little bit more focus, that we have more than one fans in the unit or more than 5, units having some level of redundancies in this. And at the same time, the cooling is not, in data center, it is not that the data center runs 100% load all the time, even if it is designed for. You have nighttime loads or you have peak loads, you have less peak loads. So the cooling has to modulate to handle these loads without increasing your power bills or without compromising the efficiency of the efficiency of the electrical systems. So
Yeah.
and most of the time in data centers, if you see, you cannot plan everything from day one, but you can make a little bit of a plan in such a way that you can go up modular, that maybe from day one you start with 20% racks and then you plan it to fill it up slowly, because the businesses and the economies also grow like that. So when they are growing, they will have 10 racks to start with, and then maybe 20 another 5 rack in the second phase, third phase. So this is would be our focus in terms of cooling. So we don't, in the beginning, the capital cost is saved, so that we don't make it a very, a big data center which efficiency is only, it runs only 10%. So that's not the idea. We want it to run at maybe at least 40 to 50% load in the beginning and scale up, accordingly within the time what is framed.
So the solution should be scalable is the primary point
Yes.
that we are trying to drive, which gives a flexibility, because eventually assuming and PAC or cooling equipment will have an expected life of around 12 to 12 years odd, which
Yes.
may be, during that time, the IT hardware may go at least 2 or 3 refreshes. So
Yes.
the change of IT load, the density, all of that. So that change in demand from the IT side, the cooling should be able to adapt, and it shouldn't be so custom fit that, after some time you are not able to meet your demands with that.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for Angelo on those points. Angelo, while we're talking about cooling, let me also give an extended point question to you. That along with the resiliency, the organizations are also focusing on the carbon footprint reduction, right? And we are using ASHRAE TC 9.9 as a primary guiding document to recommend the temperature, humidity conditions, or air quality conditions in the data center. So how do you see the adoption is there within the enterprise or the co-location segment for TC 9.9 temperature windows? Are people really adopting those kind of things? And people are talking about doing high temperature chillers and XYZ. So how have you seen people adapting that?
Yes. So now we come to an important point of PUE, where we say, the efficiency of the systems. And see, in India or in countries, in the Asian countries, maybe we don't get the climate what we need, like what we get in Europe, right? So in Europe, they have a very good PUE and they can use the air, which is quite lower. And but in India, as you said, that we might have to, go with liquid cool solutions, like having high temperature chillers, as you said, or using the nighttime cooler environment to make generate water through these chillers and use it in the daytime, or something like that, which you put a less stress on the power,
like free cooling or something like that. Yeah,
cooling and like that. So there are a lot of adiabatic is becoming a little bit more used also nowadays. It is slowly coming. So one-time cost or the initial TCO is one more big subject which we also discuss with customers. Like, you want to have a good ROI and then a good TCO. But when you talk about some system, which you pay initial less price, and then over a period of time you pay a huge price for the electricity or the maintenance of it. Yeah. So we want to make sure there is a balance between this, so that the customers, think of a 10-year data center and see how it starts paying them back in after 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, even if you use a technology which is cheaper, and then even if you take it as free, tomorrow you might be paying more for the operational cost of that technology or the things what you've used, which is not wise in terms of data center. As you said, digitization is the next key, and it is going to expand. As I was just seeing one report about just a simple example where they had given an email which has been sent from Europe and it goes to somewhere in Asia and comes back, and it generates around 60 watts of power usage. So you can just imagine, yeah. So I mean, they calculated it, and I think it's on the YouTube also. If you can, want to see it interestingly, I found because of searching something. So you can see a simple email which we send or something. So this data, the nature of data is getting more extensive. We are dependent on data, and the businesses are dependent on data. So whatever we save in terms of energy for the data centers, and we find a newer way to reduce the energy cost, is going to be a good point for that data center and the business itself, because business has to pay for the operation of a data center, and they can be good profitable when they have a very good systems to run their data centers technology which is running their business.
Okay, thank you, Angelo. My question to Tobio is regarding the cabling. Tobio, unless the data is being transferred at a high speed, because I'm moving from the physical infra to the network side of it, because eventually we are all putting everything together eventually to get the data in and out of the data center, because that is primarily the objective. Now, unless and until the data is being transferred at a very high speed, the users will not be able to get the required latency. So, can you enlighten us with what are the new technologies available today in the cabling solutions, which can make DC data centers, owners plan their networking for high speed, maybe today or in a coming couple of years or so?
I think to cope with high data speed, which is very apparent today, especially like we know over this COVID, digitalization is so fast forward for the entire globe. But I want to say this thing, for cable infrastructure, it's like a highway like that. So all the data are like traffic, like cars, all this. So in fact, for cable hardware, we are very well prepared for this. It's planned in advance. In 2017, the edition 3 of the ISO document, we have already rectified OM5, multi-mode fiber. Yes, this is especially catered for ultra high speed. We are talking about 400G upwards. So today, this is available, but essentially it's for hyperscale data center at the moment. So to answer you, in the data center, if anyone wants to go up to 400 gig, there is such a solution on the market already. So essentially, we are quite well prepared. And also for copper wise, this is for fiber. For copper wise, we have Cat 8, which is going to support 25G or 40G. This is revolutionary because in traditionally Cat 6 copper cable, we can go to up to 10G maximum. So to push it to 25G and 40G, it is very revolutionary. Yes. Yeah. So I think we are very well prepared. Yes.
So I was aware about a lot of deployments which involved OM3 and OM4 fibers. People are pushing it to like 100 or 150G kind of a speeds. So OM5 definitely pushes it to the limit, and I think it is an high speed escalator to get the best speed out of your networks. So that's great. So while we are putting all of these networks in place, my question also is to Garies. I mean, Garies, are there any tools today which are used in, say, typically large data center which have a huge number of server nodes, network nodes, to monitor and manage the network resiliency?
What I want to bring out is more on the AI and IoT things that come into the network side. Okay, so now it's the new trend. It's a new trend now in data center. The trend in experiencing the transformation, and it's happening virtually in every industry right now. So AI and IoT are really defining how business is done, and companies are really reaping the benefit from there. Honestly, I believe that data center operator may lose out if they not catch up with this new technology trend coming in for this AI and IoT. So what are the features that or benefit of this AI or IoT is they do screening, analyzing incoming and outgoing data, and also have to detect any potential threat and that deviate from any normal network behavior. And also in terms of efficiency, AI also can use what called analyze number of factors such as energy consumption, that temperature and flow rate. That I think it will more than anything like DCIM or any monitoring system that they can perform. And it's not only identify solve energy like any energy inefficient, and it also can make adjustment to reduce energy consumption with AI. And also they also can do more than that, like troubleshooting, any reduce downtime in case that and detect any predict any outages for any power level or monitoring the performance that out of place, or any network congestion, this usage, all this. So this AI is really a way to go into a data center. Okay, and also beside this, also a server optimization also through AI. I mean, you call it AI predictive analysis to help the data center also able to balance the load efficiently also, and distributing the workload across all the server when there is a heavy demand, and also enable tracking of server performance, this usage and network congestion. I think with all these above advantages, I think this operator to look into this technology that have been in the market for a while. I think everybody is talking about it, AI, artificial intelligence. So I think a lot is already in place already. So this operator should look into it into a design to help to solve this resiliency problem.
Okay, great. So everything is moving to AI, and so is networking related stuff also. So that's great to hear from you. Cliff, I have before Cliff, I have one question for Kamal. Kamal, while I was talking to Angelo about the efficiency part, not every client understands the efficiency, the working of your systems like cooling and everything, and they eventually may not fix certain cooling, blanking panels, etc., which takes a toll on not only the PUE that you operate at, but also on the capacity of the equipment, because eventually you don't end up getting the kind of capacity which you had originally planned. So are you making sure or making it as a compulsory thing or as a best practice for people to put up all the blanking panel and use the best practices? Or how do you see? Because we see a lot of data centers here in India wherein clients have some or the other reasons for not putting in the blanking plates. You are on mute, Kamal.
Thank you, Atul, again. So we are very concerned about the efficiency or PU factor for data center. So we build a data center for volatile containment system. Okay. And as per our we mandatory to fill the blanking panel, okay, to our customer. And our staff regularly maintain this. All unused rack unit should fill up with blanking. Yeah. So at the moment, our PU factor is it's about it's vary, but Sometimes it's come to 1.5, but it's mostly till 1.65 right now.
So I think you are very much at the point where we found most of the Asia data centers to be at. So Asia's average is around 1.69 PUE, or you being at 1.69 or even touching 1.5 maybe during the favorable weather conditions is excellent design and selection of the products, Kamal. So that's great. Cliff, I have a next question for you. I need a very brief answer on that because we have only 16 minutes to go. A lot of question. There is a set of people who say UPS must have a transformer. Set of people who say the time has changed. We have moved from SCR based to IGBT. Not a requirement. You can just go without a transformer anywhere. Now, that's a risky statement, as I know from my experience, but I want to know your opinion.
Okay. First and foremost, I think we have to understand the main function of the isolation transformer. All right. I think based on NEC 255D in terms of standard, all right, the isolation transformer produces its own neutral. All right. All the IT loads, they are concerned about noises, which is like common mode noise generated between neutral and earth. And that may cause data corruption, system hang, which we have experienced that all in the past. Now, the purpose of isolation transformer is to create a new neutral that is closest to the load, right? To the load, so that when you bond with the isolation transformer, you are enabled to bond the neutral to the earth to create a zero potential, and that get distributed to all the IT loads, which is proper grounded with a clean earth, and you have a neutral that is not floating but zero potential, and that is ideal environment. The UPS system basically do not regulate neutral. Right, it basically takes the incoming neutral and goes straight to the load.
From the bypass to the output,
to the output straight away. So it would depends on your distribution network in terms of your power network. If your neutral is clean, but today, for example, day one, the neutral may be good, but because this transformer distribute the load throughout the entire distribution in the building, resulted you may get a floating neutral. So the application of isolation transformer, in my personal opinion, is that if the loads are extremely sensitive and critical, we should always recommend an isolation transformer to be installed, whether in front or at the back of the UPS system, before going to the load. Because objectively is that you want to have a clean neutral. The UPS does not regulate neutral, right? So, in my personal opinion, is that if you have a data center kind of environment, I always recommend to use an isolation transformer so that you will get the zero potential to the load.
So with your answer, Ahmed is very happy that there will be transformers, proper galvanic isolation transformers within the data center. So Ahmed,
it's not a matter of being happy, but it's a matter of having a clear idea and a clear installation, because many people do not take care about this, and a lot of people do bound neutral with earth while they have maybe a very high potential on earth. If we talk about 6-7 volts, it's already too much, and this can create a little bit some troubles to the UPS itself and to the load at the end. This is part of what we call energy quality, because this is to deliver a good quality to the UPS system and to the load. So
since you touched the point of power quality, Ahmed, one of the critical point that happens is at the UPS input side, since Cliff is already making IGBT based transformer-less UPSs, we are not seeing much of the harmonics, as well as the power factor is close to a 0.99 kind of a unity power factor figures. However, on the rest of the things, like mechanical loads, we see a much lower PF, as well as creation of harmonics from nonlinear loads, which may be there.
Right.
So where does your company actually, as Ortea, support us as a client to manage those points?
Yes, for
harmonics
those
and the
parts, for those parts which are independent from the UPS line, we can support by isolation transformer that can attenuate the power factor, the harmonics. We can support with PFI, power factor correction systems, to improve power factor level, so improve cost fee, and the stabilizer for the voltage stabilization. In addition, we can also give active filters in case the harmonics are enough high and creating troubles that only simple attenuation by an isolation transformer is not enough. So we can give different solutions. All these must be measured on site, basically, because it's the active filter is a little bit like a retrofit application. So usually you measure the levels and then you decide to make a choice on the power, on the type of active filter to add, because at the end the volume is not that big, so you can add it anywhere in the electrical room. But the isolation transformer should be considered enough in advance, because it is a main component. In addition, isolation transformer do not require any specific maintenance or any specific cooling or any specific installation. Can be out of the white rooms for UPS manufacturer or for UPS for data centers. Many designers do make a concept for UPS with isolation transformer all inside the white room. Why it's not really necessary, because the transformer can work till 45 degrees ambient temperature, so no real need of big cooling or let's say extreme cooling. Just enough air or small cooling will be enough. You can put the isolation transformer next to the white room, but this will make you also reduce costs in cooling, in the total volume of the cooled white room, because you don't need to install inside the isolation transformers, in maintenance, and also in continuous energy costs for the lifetime of the data center. So many things are linked all together. It depends on some mentalities, on some concept of how do they want to build the data center, or the connection between UPSs and the load UPSs and other parts of the line of the customer, which kind of load to put under UPS and which not. Anyhow, solutions are there. The only thing is that how to check them and make the best solution for the required situation.
Okay. So thanks, Ahmed. I have a few questions left. I would request slightly brief answers due to lack of time. Angelo, I have a quick question for you. We have a lot of IoT as well as 5G rollouts, which will be likely to come in the coming time. Though our data still doesn't say that edge compute is really going to fire very fast in near future, it will definitely have its way in a few years down the line. But 5G is definitely something that is on the horizon, and people will soon start seeing more or less 5G deployment from the telco operators and associated 5G deployment. So how do you see that people can actually bring in that kind of an say for example tier compliance or resiliency or reliability in their edge deployments? Like, because typically large data centers are very thoroughly engineered, validated, and all of that. whereas it comes to edge, it is something that gets deployed at a much faster rate, and people actually look for more standardized and approved or proven products. So what is your approach on that?
Yeah, that is a very good question, because it is standardized and it's very small in nature. I think you could also get it certified as maybe a tier rating of tier 3, or in terms of design validation. And secondly, as you said, that edge is not getting that. I mean, in the survey you found that it was not used as much as the larger enterprise data centers. Yeah, edge are getting into picture for small, smaller companies who do not want to put their data into a colo or a hyperscale environment. The edge will be more popular, because now you have edge cloud kind of situation where Rittal itself has a solution which is called a German cloud, where the IT and the OT infrastructures are coming together. So that means an industry which is running their industrial automation systems and the IT equipment are going together. So that is where the major picture of IoT comes. That means you have a lot of sensors on the shop floor and with a lot of robots around. All this data has been collected, and you need a very fast and efficient way of processing this data and analyzing it. That means an operator who's working on a machine has very few seconds. When he puts some hand somewhere, the IoT device stops that accident by analyzing that there is a human person hand, and it shouldn't do something which can hurt him. So this is how the IoT is coming into the picture, where very high level of speed, or you can see the data transmission is required, like a automated car, or the reaction times where it's faster than what human could react. That's what the reaction time is required, and edge comes in the picture. And as you said, it's very important that it is designed as per the proper guidelines, because you said we have good guidelines or benchmarking of data centers. So the same, I feel that it's very important, is taken care at a smaller level also, because here also a lot of things are at risk when you talk about edge data center. Your voice, I think, is on mute.
So not only for the smaller age data centers, but also for containerized data center, which a lot of people are going for now due to maybe
that's
some
right.
building
So we call them like edge and fog. Fog is like the near to the edge, and then the hyperscale or a bigger enterprise data center. So yes, this is edge could be 1 rack, 2 rack, 3 racks, or it could be a container of 4 or 5 racks together, which is mobile in nature. Yeah.
So as Uptime, what we are doing is we are also enabling the original equipment manufacturer like Rittal or somebody else to have a prototype being created, the design being validated by Uptime Institute as a standard, and then that solution becomes a tier ready solution. So the design phase of the tier certification is already being taken care at the time of design with the OEM. And when it is being deployed at the site, that time only the site verification of the installation is to be carried out. So that improves the speed and reliability both for the clients. So
yes, we are discussing with you. I think we are already in discussion for this subject. Going forward, that's the way it should be. So that for peace of mind for also the customer and for
Yeah. So the next one point I have for Tobio. Tobio, can you also tell, you gave us a lot of insight about latest technologies. Can you also tell us what are the best practices in cabling technology? I mean, I was aware about earlier we had this 3-tier distribution of the backend cabling. What is the latest thing that improves the reliability within the cabling, structured cabling itself?
Hey, hi. So cables, like I mentioned earlier, is like a highway. So it's basically like a conduit for data to flow through. So of course, we have different grades of fiber optics, like multi-mode fiber. Just now I mentioned we have up to OM5. So you mentioned OM3 and OM4 also. So the selection of the fiber is very important in this case. In a data center, we choose the correct fiber to use. So we wouldn't want to choose something like a OM3, which can last us one or two step migration. So when the end user, right, change their equipment, we will have difficulties. We have to say that we have to change the cabling as well. So the selection of the cable type is very important. It can last you a few migration. So I think that's one of the key points. And also the type of connectivity today, it matters. It's not just the type of fiber optic. We have the MTP connectivity, which is a 12 parallel fiber in a single small connector compared to the traditional LC. So the emergence of this, right, is getting more and more prominent and important. With
like MTP and MPO, that's what we're talking about, right? Multi-point.
Yes, correct. They are the same. It's just that MTP is the US Connect trademark. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they are almost the same thing. Yes, correct.
Okay.
So it's important that we deploy MPO in our data centers for more migration proving. We can prove ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I will extend that question to Garies. Garies, do you think that the spine and leaf kind of a network architecture is actually helping customers build more resiliency in the network side? And how is it compared to the cost point of view that earlier that they had? If you can.
Spine and leaf. Okay, I mean, this structure has been planned for redundancy. I mean, it's all been linked across each all the individual rack and to the back to all the sub rack. So it's all almost like fully redundant. The cable has been fully redundant for a network network site that it's been planned for. Okay, so I think this is one of the way to set up. There are two more ways to build the infrastructure. Other way is I think there are two more. I can't remember which one. This one is the more popular one, where all the server and all the switches has been linked up, where any one fail, the other area will be taken out. So I see it's quite a robust design itself.
Okay. Thanks, Garies. Okay, the last couple of questions. I know we are running a minute late than the time which is given to us. The point is to Kamal. Kamal, if I have to ask you 2 points that you would do differently when you're building the next data centers.
Please.
Any 2 points that you would do differently when you are building the next data center that you have, next data center.
Sorry, can you?
Okay, so I'm asking, can you give us any 2 points that you would do differently when you are building your next data center?
Okay, so 2 points is let's say network neutrality. Okay, so data center in my case it should be colo, not for own uses. Okay, so net neutrality will maintain because we have another business in the carrier business we have also. So we are Art Telecommunication, one of the biggest IP transit provider in Bangladesh, and we have Race Online, which is a nationwide internet service provider and data connectivity and carrier provider. So so net neutrality, one of the main motto. So we invite all the ISPs and content provider come to us for resilient connectivity, smooth connectivity. And another is the ensure uptime. So it should be 9.5 target.
Okay. Thanks, Kamal. We hope to work with you on that upcoming project shortly.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, seriously. Then one more question. I mean, that is on everybody's mind. We have had a terrible year with COVID, which came almost November, December last year, and has locked all of us, most of us, in our offices or homes, and making home as an office. And in general, people are worried about the business continuity, or definitely data center being one of the critical aspects. Can a couple of you maybe elaborate how in this COVID situation you have extended support to your clients, enabling them to manage their business in a seamless manner? Maybe anybody from, say, Cliff or Kamal, or anybody.
Okay, maybe I'll just touch on the UPS part of it. I mean, since you know, the question regarding about this, UPS being a critical component in the data center, we are classified as essential services, meaning to say that in the event of a requirement for service and support, we are always on standby, 24 standby. And given that our UPS system is a modular UPS system, is very easily replaced within 5 minutes. So we have all the necessary stock available to back up our customers for this support. I mean, certainly during this COVID-19 situation, the traffic in the internet, for example, is going to be a lot more heavy. So coupled with all the necessary support that we need, we are there to ensure that all our customers' data center or users our equipment are always being supported, irregardless whether it's a COVID-19 situation or not. We are always going to be there to ensure that the support is available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Atul, I wanted to talk about this. During this COVID in March, so our requirement is suddenly increased. Okay, because most of the companies cannot continue their who have the small data center, in-house data centers, small micro data centers.
Correct.
So all of them are migrating their infrastructure to data center, because in the situation the buildings are closed, power and everything is a very worst situation. So we arrange our people to stay in our office and ensure that migration to our data center. And another big achievement of us, when the COVID started, so I received a call from our COVID A2I, we call me A2I, Bangladesh government. So they ask the servers, in 4 or 5 servers, because hosting the monitoring facility of the COVID of Bangladesh. Okay, so within 2 or 3 hours we arrange these servers, and right now this is hosted in Dhakacolo data center, corona.gov.bt. Okay, so till now it is there. So this is the situation, and lots of companies still now migrating their system to us. Not only us. I think another colo provider in Bangladesh.
Okay. Are you on mute? Atas, you on mute. Atul, you are mute.
I thought you were asking, you are mute. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. From my side, for this COVID situation, I think we are doing essential service. So for me, it's been locked down for a while. Then we had to catch up with all the backlog, because they need the service for the infrastructure to get the network working, get the computer working, all this. So, but for this COVID, it's already changed everybody's life. It will change the way we are doing in our company. So in the past, we're trying to implement certain things, it really cannot work. And this time, it really push everybody to another limit. And everybody working from home, and we try to cut down here and there to save costs because of the certain situation. A lot of things we cannot do, and our worker is been locked down. So it's a lot of challenge that we're trying to face, how to provide service to our customer. But now in Singapore, we are quite to the very low level now. So hopefully we can bring back to the level back to normal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. So I think I have covered all the points from my side, and I would like to. I think there were a couple of questions which were there, I think, which have been already answered by the panelist. So my message to all the listeners is that in case you have any other queries regarding the topics that we discussed today, please feel free to write the queries to Mr. Masood. And if you have any of the panelists which you particularly want the answer from, please do mention that. We would make our best attempt to get back to you with an answer to resolve your queries. And I would like to thank each one of you from the panel for taking out your time and spending 100 minutes here on this panel discussion. And it has been a lovely discussion. I learned a lot from industry veterans like you. So thanks a lot. I hope that next time when Masood Bhai arranges this program in person in Bangladesh, we get to see each one of you in person, have a face-to-face discussion on all the things. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Kamal. Thanks, Cliff. Thank you, Tobio, Garies, Angelo,
Thank you to everyone.
Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Atul.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Masood Bhai.
Thank you, everybody.
And thanks a lot for all the listeners. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you all.
Bye-bye.
It was a very nice session, nice discussion. And tomorrow, see you 10 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Yeah, surely. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for everything.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.